My shed is a wreck. Aside from it slowly rotting away, it contains a bunch of junk. Some of it's mine, and some of it was left over from the previous owner. When cleaning out the shed, I found this hammerhead and a broken hammer handle. They must have been left by the previous owner. Rather than throw them both away, I decided to try and fix them. Unfortunately, the handle looked like it was too far gone. It was broken and it had some damage from insects. So, I bought a new hammer handle. As you can see, it's made of hickory. It came with both a wooden wedge and a metal wedge. The wooden wedge looks like it has a little face on it. Can you see it? The handle also has a slit cut into it at the top for the wooden wedge. I learned that from watching a few YouTube videos on hammer repair. Now that I had everything I needed, it was time to fix the hammer. The first thing I had to do was to get the hammerhead onto the new handle, and that required hammering. Lots and lots of hammering. Getting there. Almost. One of the videos I watched said the easiest way to hammer the handle into the hammerhead was to hold both of them off the ground and then hammer the end of the handle. Somehow, the head would then work its way up the handle. I must have been doing something wrong because that technique didn't work for me. Once I had the head on the handle, I used a flathead screwdriver to expand the opening of the pre-cut slit. Then I hammered the wooden wedge into place. I used a hacksaw to cut the remainder of the wedge so that it was flush with the top of the hammer. there's that. Now, apparently I take this thing and I hammer it into there, into the center there. This is a wedge. Let's see how this goes. Fingers crossed. All right, that is good enough for government work. And now I'm going to peel this thing off. You can go on the old one. That one there. So, yeah, there we go. Was that? Now, it's that. Of course, no hammer repair would be complete without a test. After finishing repairing that first hammer, I realized there was another hammer that I needed to repair. This is an old hammer that I've had for a while. I think it was my grandfather's. And the head of the hammer has always been loose. So when you would swing it to drive a nail in, the head would kind of come up and then catch on the wood. It wouldn't come off, but it was constantly moving. So I realized it needed to be fixed. There was a bit of glue up at the top here. I used a Dremel to get that out, and then I used a hammer to hammer off the head from the handle. I then measured how far up the handle had to go to be flush with the top of the hammerhead, because it was never flush. And I didn't know that, again, because there was glue up here. So I made a mark using a marker here, and then used a Dremel tool to kind of shave off some wood so that the hammerhead would be flush at the top. It's not perfectly flush, you can kind of see here, but it's a lot better than it was. Then I used a multi-tool to cut a hole down the center of the handle, similar to the replacement handle that I used on the first hammer. Then I used a screwdriver to kind of work that cut open a bit. I put the hammerhead on, and then just like I did with the first hammer, put a wooden shim in there, hammered that into place, and then instead of using that metal shim that came with the new handle for the other hammer, I had these circular kind of shims. I think these are for axes. So this is the smallest one I have. I hammered that one in, and then I poured some wood glue on the top, hoping that it would soak down into the crevices and just kind of make sure everything was good and tight in there. Now, as you can see, I kind of made a mistake. Again, this is an old hammer. The head, I put it on backwards. So if you can see, the handle kind of leans over a little bit here. The head leans over here. It's not perfectly flush on both sides. I should have paid more attention to that, but it is what it is. It doesn't affect the hammer at all. I've been using it quite a bit. You know, it will still drive a nail into wood. So overall, pretty easy fix. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful, and thanks for watching.